ayes have it.
Hello and welcome. Glad to have you join us for this week's edition of Senate 109. I am Dennis Adegunloye. Our focus this week remains outside the chambers of the Senate, although much of what the program will offer this week relates directly and indirectly to the Senate. Senate primaries have held over the past week or so, and sure enough, there are senators of the 9th National Assembly that are set to return, while others were unsuccessful in obtaining return tickets to represent their various constituencies. Now, it is generally agreed among senators themselves that the legislative arm of government is one where lawmakers should be given the opportunity to hone their skills and develop their expertise over successive assemblies, as is the case in other countries such as the US. However, we already know now, even before next year's general elections, that the potential for another high turnover of legislators is already very real. Now, what could be the reasons for this? Let's get some perspective from a seasoned legislator.
It is not good for the legislative arm of government because as chairman of Rules and Business Committee in 2003, I received the chairman of the Rules and Business Committee of the United States Congress, and he had been there for 36 years at that time in 2003 and had chaired that committee for almost that length of time. 36 years. And of course, you can know President Joe Biden, how long he'd been in the Senate, and now he's president of the country. All this is, it's good for the experience of the country. It is not, the legislative seat should not be taken as com-chop. It should not be taken as a commissioner's role. It should not be taken as something that you use to settle some persons. It's a matter of intellect, your contributions, what you have to offer. And the legislators themselves have been cowed because they do not act on the legislative interest of the country. They always look at what is my leader saying, what is my governor saying, is the action I take capable of giving me a return ticket. I want to say, with respect, do your job first. And what you do, your job will stand in for you. Your job will stand up and stand out for you. And sometimes your leader or your governor, quote unquote, I don't give credence to that, will always say, look, this person has done well. I think we should return him to the legislature. Now, again, the legislators have almost, I apologize to them. I want to apologize to them twice. They have not shown a lot of legislative skills and dexterity. Most of them who are experienced are still displaying their experience. The new ones just joining have not shown willingness to apply the rudiments. I want to say, to know whether they have done well or not, take the Hansard, the verbatim report, and see the argument that members offer. Watch as you, the NTA and other television stations transmit live the proceedings of the House or Senate, and see the intellectual content that some of them give. I want to apologize, and then go to take the argument that we offered on the floor on each bill, even on matters when we are doing consideration of report or a bill on committee of the whole. Get the intellectual arguments that came on the floor. As chairman of Rules and Business, I used to publish a notice paper. The essence of the order paper is to notify senators and members of the of the bills that are likely coming the following day or 2 days or in the next week. And the essence is for you to use yourself and your legislative aides, your senior legislative aides and your legal advisors to prepare arguments for and against that bill and that measure. And when you come to the floor, you will oppose the bill or support the bill on the basis of the law. But when you rarely see that on the floor of the legislature these days. You rarely have heard any argument on any law being passed or being considered that a senator or a legislator makes reference to any section of the law. It is literature. I apologize. I really apologize. So these are the kind of things that makes persons on outside think that it is an ordinary thing, that is not an intellectual legislative thing, that you don't need to be specially endowed to enable you be there. So that's like the kind of turnover. If you display legislative skills, advocacy, law, you come in with your books, you come in with your iPad, you come in with your e-law report, make reference to laws, make reference to judgments of the Court of Appeal or Supreme Court in any argument on the floor. I used to do that. I come with the hard copies and send with the soft copies of judgments of the court. Like when I dealt on the question of that if you defect from a political party that elected you, you lose your seat because you are not an independent candidate and you don't occupy that seat. It is the seat of your political party. And I was able to get the judgment of Justice Chukwu, which was delivered 48 hours earlier. I took the trouble of going to the Federal High Court to get that judgment, and I used that to address the floor of the Senate, the judgment, and I quoted the particular judgment submissions of the judge and how he arrived at that. And thank God, His Excellency David Mark, the Senate President, gave me great opportunities to that. No, these are the kind of things that shows that's what should be. Because you are a lawmaker. You are not in the debating society. A lawmaking process is a process where you are making laws, either to say yes or no, or this law should exist, or this law you want to bring has already existed. This is the law. This is the title of the law. Or what you want to provide is already in an existing law. This is that law, and this is where it is, and we don't need to make that law, or we need to amend it in that law, or we don't need an originating law. So these are the kind of things that will make members of the public appreciate that this is a quasi-professional assignment that needs a level of understanding, initiation, and an orientation. And so they will keep off that. It's not just like being commissioner. So this is I will encourage the political parties, I will encourage the institutions to come in. I will also tell the states that let them endeavor to send in and return their members as many times as possible. Because now that we've almost always had a question of ranking. When the position of speaker or senate leader or deputy senate president is zoned to your area and you are all sending new persons, they can't contend and they can't be for it. Although I know that most states will not want to have a speaker or president of the Senate or deputy Senate president so that they will not come to drive siren in their state to compete with the governor. These are all small mindsets which causes this kind of situation. Or sometimes you have a governor who is completing his term, he wants to come to the Senate, he wants to come to the Senate. He will ensure that no other member who is there returns to the Senate so that they will not take precedence over him in terms of leadership or saying that there is somebody that is more experienced. These are all small mindsets that should be discouraged.
Briefly, just give us your perspective of the primaries that have just been taking place with regards to the senatorial primaries. A lot of current legislators won't be coming back. Some have maintained their positions. Just give us your perspectives.
Well, I'm sorry, some of the people who are well experienced, like my friend and brother Kuromadu, possibly may not come back. There are a number of them all over who are not going to come back. I'm sorry, maybe it may be, but we still have some senior guys in the legislature, ranking members, who are also going to come back. But it's sad, a lot of them are not going to come back. And I know there are also other people in the House of Representatives who may also not come back. But we have people who left, who lost previously in the PDP congresses, and some of them, a lot of them who were former legislators, who are also going to come back right now. And I'm happy to say all our congresses at the various levels, both at the State Assembly level and at the House of Reps and the Senatorial level, were done peacefully. I think it's only 1 or 2 states where you can see, okay, PDP has 2 gubernatorial candidates. But we have a very serious internal mechanism to handle this, and that will take care of it. So I assure you, the PDP, if we succeed at those levels, that the State Assembly level, the House of Representatives level, and the Senatorial level, will give Nigerians a very good look, like what we have done in the past. Will give Nigerians a very good National Assembly that will look critically and work closely with the president to ensure that we move the country forward, and that is the key, and that's what we are concerned about.
That narrative is true. In the 8th Assembly, I think there was about 30% return, while over 70% never returned. In the this 9th Assembly is about 38% return, with the other 60-something% not returning. So I think this speaks volume, and it's all up to us to begin to educate that the legislature is not a sharing a platform. Is a platform where you allow certain people to learn the art of representation, and the more they remain here, the better at it they are, and invariably the better for the various communities that have stayed the course of allowing somebody to at least remain sufficiently long enough. No matter how long, one day you must part, but at least you should be given that sufficient length of time to be here, to get that ranking. That way you'll be able to have a position of strength that you can contribute and make their own society and even those you are representing much better.
Worrisome, is of concern. There are some in other countries of the world, where you have a member of the parliament spending much longer time in the parliament, and experiences acquired over time. You see, you should not just look at that constituency alone. That constituency, is aligning with other constituencies in the country, and it's also connecting with other countries of the world. Can you imagine, for example, you have a novice who becomes the chairman of foreign relations in Senate, or finance, or banking, and then that person will sit down with somebody in United States of America Senate. There's a terrible mismatch. For me, that is what we are going to see, the impediment of an effective lawmaking, effective oversight, and effective of representation. It is not just you come here and then you go back home. Yes, with due respect to every politics is local, but when you go back home or when you go home, you go and spend the little resources that you have, that for me it is not a representation. An effective representation is that whereby you protect the interest and integrity of your constituency. And remember, you are also discussing, wholesome with other either senators or members House of Representatives from other, parts of the country. In the areas of resource control, resource allocation, in other about land matters, generally you make law for the federation. In making law for the federation, you must agree. Either disagree to agree or agree to disagree, whatever it is. So it is important that we begin to maintain our members to go on and on to build, a viable, structure of parliament. This thing should come. Somebody who wants to contest should start from member House of Assembly. Maybe 1 term, 2 terms, 3 terms, then that person moves to House of Representatives. Maybe 1 term, 2 terms, 3 terms, then they move to the Senate. Because you are acquiring skills over time, and then you can be able to defend the integrity of your constituency. You can do lawmaking very well. You can do a lot of oversight. You will have a lot of respect, by the MDS. But when the MDS find that you are in office and they can manipulate you, they can play left and right with you, especially with the kind of civil servants we have in this country today, with due respect. So I think, we should look into it. We should try to maintain, the credible ones. I'm not saying that if somebody does not perform, you still maintain him. No. It should be tied to performance. It should be tied to somebody who is doing well, not to go say, oh no, even though he's performing very well, he's doing very well, but we think that we can't, for one sentimental reason or the other, drop him or her.
It has also been established that gender-based bills are very difficult to get passed at the National Assembly. Promise Nwadigos, a former senatorial candidate, gives his take on the importance of the need for gender inclusivity among legislators. He also talks on the 2022 Electoral Act that is set to guide the conduct of the forthcoming 2023 general elections.
Yeah, for the rejection of the gender-based bill, I think is one of the bills that they had to also go back and look into, because it's a bill that will leverage on the challenges a lot of women are going through today in our society, and you see in some part of the country where women are marginalized. They are not allowed to partake in the normal social cultural activities. So I think it's something that they had to rethink, and they had to also be more civil and understanding, so that we holistically they had to look into it, because I think it's one bill that will say yes, this is a good one when it's passed.
Why do you think the Senate rejected gender-based bills?
Well, I still say it again. In this country today, there are some part of the countries that do believe that their women, should not be allowed to speak in public. Their women should not be allowed to socialize. Their women should not be allowed to even be in leadership positions or even in religious activities. So it's unlike the other region, who support their women, support them morally and otherwise. So I think it's more than what the eyes can see.
And talking of the local governments and judicial autonomy, would you commend the Senate for that that position?
Yeah, it is a very great one that they have done. Yeah, because over the years, the governors have it has been like their birthright. The local government budget, when each time it comes, they embezzle it without no development, no grassroots development. And one of the challenges that we are having today in this country, you see, starts from the rural areas. The banditry, the terrorism, whatsoever that name it, it starts from the rural areas, because they start from there, then to migrate to the cities. So, and I believe that if they are being given a sense of belonging, if their communities are being developed, if they really feel the impact of the government from the down local government to the states, I think most of the agitation, most of the problems that we are having today in the country will not be there. So I think I commend the senators, and I commend them for doing a very great job.
And lastly, your general appeal to the elite and Nigerians in general as we move closer to the general elections next year.
Yeah, well, my appeal has been healing the world and making it a better place. And then it comes this way. We should, please, for the sake of this nation, shield our squad. Whoever that is trying to come in 2023 to destabilize this nation, whoever that is planning to use this election to cause chaos, whoever that knows what the country is going on currently in terms of insecurity, I am appealing to them to please, they should stop this, because they are putting the lives of the lives of millions of Nigerians in danger. And please, they should fear God and help this nation.
Well, it's not all doom and gloom for women in the political space, as new ground was recently broken when a serving senator became the first female governorship candidate for Adamawa State.
I have confirmed beyond reasonable doubt that Senator Aisha Dahiru Ahmed Binani is declared the winner of Tuesday.
Former EFCC Chairman Nuhu Ribadu scored 288 votes. Former Governor of Adamawa State, Senator Muhammad Umar Jibrila, scored 103 votes, while the member representing Ganye, Jada, Tongo and Mayo Balwa Federal Constituency at the National Assembly, Abdurazak Namdas, got 94 votes. Omar Mustafa Otumba and Wafari Theman also scored 39 and 21 votes respectively. Senator Aisha Dahiru Ahmed Binani thanked the delegates and all APC members for having confidence in her, saying she will turn around the fortunes of Adamawa State if elected as a governor.
I call on all of us to work together in order to ensure the victory of our party in general election will come 2023. The journey has just begun. With unity, cohesion, we can together attain our goal. This victory is not for me alone, but rather for all of us.
Here is wishing more grease to the elbows of women as they seek more gender parity in the political space. And it's on that note that we conclude Senate 109 this week. Many thanks for your time. I am Dennis at Digunloy. See you next week.